I wanted to dedicate a whole video to just talking about the descriptions of your story. It's very important that you can effectively describe your story to your reader. Many times we have such vivid imaginations and we can completely picture the scenes we have inside our head, but often it's hard to actually fully translate that onto the page. This is very true in my own life, as recently I've analyzed some writing I did over a decade ago. And as I looked at that writing, it seemed entirely different in some senses to the way I remembered picturing it inside my head. I could picture it so real inside my head, and yet down onto the paper, it didn't really fully effectively describe the story. So you need to be actually fleshing out the details of your story. You need to be talking about what the moonlight looks like if it's a night scene, or what the sunlight looks like if it's a day scene. Is it a setting sun? Is it a red sun? Is it a yellow sun? Is it a morning sun? Is it an early before dawn, there's just some grayness in the air sort of lighting? Is it a twilight, very evening, almost transitioning into night setting? And you need to actually paint the way that light is interacting with its objects. Writing very much is just like painting, except instead of doing so with brush and palette, you're doing so with pen and paper. As such, you really need to be describing everything about the scene of your story. And many people think that descriptions can bog down or make the story sound boring, but you don't have to have a boring story when you write good descriptions. Every scene can be effectively described in 1 or 2 paragraphs of descriptions before the actual events of that scene take place. Or maybe in the middle of those events, you can kind of zoom out and describe what people look like, or the way the sunlight is casting on their faces, or the sort of shadows that are cast from the sunlight, what those shadows look like. And then all you have to do is just intersperse in the rest of the scene a few phrases here or there that draws the reader back into the image that they pictured when you effectively described that scene. You have to think of your story as something that could have taken place in real life. In order to do that, you have to be drawn into the story. People in real life are constantly looking at what the sunlight looks like, or what a shadow looks like, or what a shadow resembles. They're constantly interacting with these things, and they're constantly interacting with nature, and as such, your main characters can't just be inanimate objects except for the plot, but they have to be interacting with their environment. So try to vividly paint inside the mind of your reader the same images you have in your own, and the sure way of effectively doing that is through good descriptions.